A year on from the mass protests which marked the start of the Nicaraguan crisis, and it's not just a political problem now. The country's fallen into its worst economic slump in 3 decades. Scenes like this haven't been great for attracting investment. CRISTIANA is one of many people laid off. One influential think tank puts it at almost 500,000. That's in a population of just 6 million people.
I've been looking for work for 8 months, not just in my area, which is publicity, but in administration, tourism, wherever I could find a job to provide for my children. But I couldn't find anything in any company. They're not hiring now. They're firing more people.
She's heading north to the US with her 3 children to look for work. More than 60,000 other Nicaraguans have already left the country. Many are in Costa Rica, saying they're fleeing persecution. Since the mass protests began, the government's clamped down on journalists and human rights groups. VILMA NUNEZ headed the most prominent of them until this happened.
At 11 p.m., a group of about 60 police broke through the roof. They tied up the young man who watches the installations by his hands and feet. They took almost everything. They destroyed the organization completely, the computers, the documents. We don't know what exactly they took.
The government's entered into a dialogue with a group of business, civil society and university leaders called the Civic Alliance. But Alliance representatives themselves fear it's just a play for more time.
The dialogue is in a kind of a stalled situation. We were able to agree on 2 issues. One was the release of all the prisoners, and the second was the return to the people of Nicaragua, basic human rights and civil rights. However, the government has not been able to comply with those agreements. So far, they have shown very little compromise.
The Civic Alliance is also calling for early elections and justice for the more than 300 people reported killed and 2,000 injured. We asked both the government and other figures from the ruling party to share their views. None were available for an interview. Meanwhile, out on the streets, protests have been effectively banned and paramilitaries still roam. The government's firmly in control, but at what cost to a country that's already one of the very poorest in the hemisphere? John Holman, Al Jazeera, Managua.